Have you ever wondered what it is like to travel to the beautiful city of Florence and stand in front of some of the most famous artworks in the world? Well, we share what that is like as we visit Michelangelo's David and see Botticelli's Birth of Venus and a dozen more famous pieces. To say we were impressed is a massive understatement. After visiting all the famous galleries, we embark on a fantastic wine and food tour where our very passionate guide shares the secret of the dark side of Florence and takes us on a taste sensation tour of the Florence and Tuscan region through local authentic restaurants. We also go to a place to drink wine that is totally unique and can only be found in Florence. I was so excited. We tell you where you can find the best panoramic views of the city and the best time to go there, and how we ended up back in front of the Duomo late at night watching a football match between my English Premier League team and the Firenze football team. This episode covers it all: food, wine, art, nature, football, history, food and wine. Well, you get the idea. So please enjoy episode 63, part 2 of our Florence series. Oh, and don't forget, if you know someone planning a trip to Italy, then please share our Italian series with them by sending them to www.beachtravelwine.com/Italy. Cheers! And welcome to the Beach Travel Wine podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leanne.
And I'm Lyle, and this is the travel podcast for beach-loving, wine-drinking couples over 50.
So if that sounds like you, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax and listen as we go travelling the world, one wine at a time.
Cheers.
Well, hello, Lyle.
Buongiorno, Leonita.
Buongiorno. Well, I'm excited because we are still in Florence. And, we covered a whole lot of ground in our last episode. And if you haven't listened to that, that was episode 62. We talked about the Duomo and other basilicas and the markets and all sorts of the river and the Ponte Vecchio. But this podcast, I think
pizza resistance.
Yeah, it's got so much information in it about some of the special things to see in Florence, and there's so many special things to see in Florence, isn't there?
Yeah, I think with Florence, one of the things that we talked about is not making it a history lesson.
Yes.
But whether it be fortunate or unfortunately, that's what it is to a degree. I mean, the art and the sculptures and are just amazing.
I was going to say at the end, but I'll bring it in now, seeing you've brought that up. I think, I've just said there's so much history and art in Florence, and even if you're not into that, you can't help but be impressed by it and enjoy it. And we've said this in other podcasts, there's a family member that says if you go to visit a museum, you've been in the city one day too long.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Carl.
But if you don't go to the museums in Florence, you're missing out.
Look, you've just got to embrace it, I think.
Yeah.
And it's enthralling.
I learned so much, and I actually, I actually feel like I want to know more about the artist now, which is, that is nothing that I thought I would ever say.
I think part of that is the fact that we did do tours.
Yeah.
We did tours, and I think the difference of just going to a museum
and having a look around
is...
You're taking all my information today.
I'm sorry, but I think it's important that...
I was going to say that later, actually, because the guides do give you so much information.
Yeah, because you actually know what you're looking at.
You do.
Whereas if you go without the guide, you're just looking at something.
Well, you know what it's called maybe. But
yeah.
Anyway, let's get started. We're waffling. That's unusual. So this podcast, we're starting off having a coffee just around the corner and a croissant just around the corner from our apartment at our little local cafe, which is basically how we started every day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With a coffee.
And we met some people the night before at the
Joshua
Tree Bar, the Sean and Jackie, and we ran into them while we were having breakfast as well. They were walking past, so they joined us and had coffee and croissants as well.
Yeah, that was nice. But today the goal was to go and find the starting point of our food tour that we had booked later on, which we're going to tell you about, because I like to know where the starting points are, as I said, I've said previously. But to find that, we had to walk to the other side of the river. which isn't that far, but we always seem to end up on our way going somewhere or coming back, going through the Piazza della Repubblica, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and
it's pretty impressive. That's why we wanted to talk about that. It's right in the centre of Florence, isn't it? The heart.
It's basically the Piazza della Repubblica was built in 1865 to 71, so it's nowhere near as old as any of a lot of the other more famous piazzas. So it's a little bit more modern, really. Mm-hmm. And basically, why it was built or why it was transformed is that over a period of time, it had been neglected, that particular, and basically turned into a squalor. Mm. So when the Italy united, they decided they were going to transform it. So, yeah, look, it marks the centre of the city since Roman times. The column of abundance, which is right in the centre, is where the Roman Forum stood, and it was also where two of the Roman roads, all roads lead to Rome. Well, the two of the roads were at this particular point. There's a beautiful, beautiful merry-go-round.
Yeah, carousel. That's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. And that opened in 1871.
Yeah, it's still going.
Look, it's,
lots of
any time that you go there at night, it's almost like an impromptu street stage.
There's famous cafes that have been there for years.
Yes. There's the Cafe Gilly, the Cafe Pakowski, and the Cafe della Guerbe Rosse.
I just really like walking through there. It's just that the cafes are a bit fancy, and they're all sort of out on the, in the middle of the plaza, or around the edge of the plaza, and the carousel's sort of almost in the middle. And then you've got like the fancy hotels.
Yeah, you got the Savoy Hotel.
And then the sort of big arches and the corridor, but it's like an Arc de Triomphe, isn't it?
Basically, they call it the Arco Triunfale Arch. Was built in 1895 to celebrate the transformation. Look, it's beautiful, and you've got it. It's a very big piazza too, isn't it? It's
I love it. No matter where you're going, if you're going to the Duomo, if you're going to the Uffizi, if you're going to the Porto Vecchio, just going over to the river, you're going to go through, see the this piazza.
Yeah. Well, you're also in that area. You're walking past Prada, you're walking past all beautiful. The Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
Shops and they've all got their guards inside and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But look, it was pretty good.
All right, so we walk through there. We go across the river and we find our meeting point in the it's not a suburb, I guess.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, called Altrano.
That's correct.
Altrano, spelled with an O. So we're like, okay, we're set for tonight. We obviously use Google Maps to get us there, know where we're going. We're all good. But we decide we're going to keep walking along the river on that side of the river, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So walking along the south side of the river, we went down past the Ponte Vecchio, and it's like a special area there along the river, isn't it? It's like South Bank.
That's what they actually call it. Yeah. The Langano Torregani, which is basically named after one of the villas of one of the nobles.
Once you get down past the Ponte Vecchio on the other side of the river, it's much quieter.
Oh yeah, extremely.
There's not many people there, but and that's nice. But the views back
towards
the
Uffizi and the Vasari corridor and the Ponte Vecchio, you get a totally different perspective of it. Yeah. And it was beautiful, and we were lucky because it was a beautiful day.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. But we'd heard about another place we wanted to visit, or actually the lady from the Tourist Information Centre had sent us to this other place that we were going to have a look at, the Piazzale Michelangelo. But before we got there, we found a nice little restaurant, didn't we? Like it was.
That was the restaurant Zoe.
Yeah.
We had lunch there, and I remember you had the avocado and prawn salad, and I think it was about €12, and I had.
I think it was salmon.
Salmon, was it? Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's right. It was salmon, and I had the curried chicken salad, and that was only €10, so it was really, really cheap. But it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a nice little spot and quiet, and just felt really nice. And then
Then we headed off, and on the right-hand side,
we were just following the signs.
Yeah,
weren't
the
we?
Lungano.
Yes.
Is we found the Bandini Gardens.
Yeah, Bandini Gardens, and they were done up sort of.
They were restored.
Yeah.
They're 4 acres, and they were restored in 2006. The highlights include the Wisteria Tunnel.
Obviously, wisteria is my favourite.
Yeah, and obviously depending, what time of the year it is, whether or not it's flowered. The
spring.
Baroque flight of stairs with its viewpoint over the city, and the 6 fountains with their mosaic bottoms.
Yeah.
Look, the views were spectacular.
So did they put mosaics on their bottoms? Obviously, I know it's the bottom of the fountain. It just sounded funny. Mosaic bottoms.
Yeah, you were trying to be funny.
Didn't do it very good. Anyway, go to our website at beachtravelwine.com, and this is episode 63. And I've got some photos of the Piazza Repubblica with that beautiful carousel, and also some photos of the Bardini Gardens there. But we didn't stop there. We kept going to, as I said, the Piazzale Michelangelo.
Yeah. Look at when you get to the entrance, it's about a 600-meter climb, I suppose.
But we went the wrong way. We went through some other gardens and headed up through a rose garden, and I got some actually. I'm glad we went that way, because I actually got some pictures, views back over the Bardini Gardens, and there's this beautiful big sort of, I guess it's the city wall fence that runs through it, and so that was a beautiful view. So we had to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
And and it's not that far. It was like a 15-minute walk or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. But just to make you aware too, it's only about 25 minutes walk from the Florence's historic centre.
Yes.
So
if you started and you kept walking, it would take you 25 minutes to get there. If you didn't go via the Google Maps where we was going and our restaurant, and then all the little stops we made along the way, but nothing's that far in Florence, Dom.
No, that's true.
So, tell me a bit about Piazzale Michelangelo then.
Oh, look, the only reason you go there is for the views, because you've just got this amazing panoramic view of the city of Florence. It is just absolutely magnificent.
Well, it's the city, sure. It's of the Bardini Gardens as well.
Yeah, and also the Arno, the river.
I was just about to say the river and the 4 bridges that cross it. And the view of the Duomo with that, the famous dome, the biggest brick dome ever constructed, is outstanding.
It's like being on a movie set.
Yeah, that was a wow from up there. And once again, go and check out beachtravelwine.com episode 63 to have a look. But also, I haven't mentioned for a while, on our Instagram at beachtravelwine.com, go to up the top where the little circles are, the story highlights, and find the one that says Florence, and you'll see the video. I've done panoramic views while we were up there. It was just blows your mind. Unfortunately, though, we didn't go at sunset like it's recommended.
Well, Jackie and Sean did.
They
didn't
did.
They?
They went in a sidecar and a
that's
boat.
right. Yeah, because one of the you don't have to walk, obviously. When we got to the Piazzale, we noticed there was a whole bunch of golf carts.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of car parking. So, but it's just magnificent.
Yeah.
The only regret I've probably got is the fact that we didn't go back at night.
Yeah, at sunset. But, I still managed to get some nice photos. So go and check those out as well. So that was a pretty big morning, wasn't it? And when we were at this viewpoint, they were setting up for a huge
that's right.
fashion show.
We thought it had to be the biggest rock band in the world, but it was actually for a fashion show.
Yeah, because up the top there's little stalls, and there's a cafe, and there's like a walkway with balustrades around that where you can get, which we did, the selfies and the photos back with behind you, the city behind you, and then you can walk all the way around the big sort of the square up the top, and the other way, which is looking away from the city, is down over olive groves and farming land, which is really beautiful as well. And then you keep going around the other way, and there's more parkland and, more of a residential area that you can see. And this is all around the top of this Piazzale Michelangelo. Yeah. Yep. And in the middle, when we were there, and I think it happens quite often, is they often have shows there. And this was a big fashion show that was going on. So, yeah, it was the place to be, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we headed home. And we're happy. We've seen some nice things. It's a beautiful day, and we have a bit of a rest before we head out to our food tour. Yeah.
Yeah. But we did call into the Joshua Tree and met our new favourite bartender, and his name was Dugio.
Okay.
And I promised that I would mention his name.
Yeah.
And he was a really cool dude, and
really cool.
So we called in, had a couple of beers, and then had a little bit of a rest, and then we went on. The name of the tour is the Oltrarno at Sunset Florence Food and Wine Tour.
Now, can I say why I booked this one?
Sure.
Yeah. This is one that I didn't book too far ahead. I have found sometimes when we do the food tours, we organise it when we get there. And this one, because we'd done some previously, and like in Venice, we did a food tour, and we just find it's a really nice way to talk to locals. They take you to places that are generally run by locals as well, as in they're not big chains or anything, smaller, authentic experiences, and you meet other people.
Sure, and I think you get to embrace the culture of the actual city a lot more.
Yeah, but one of the reasons I really wanted to do this tour, which we're going to talk about where we went, is one of the stops that we had, and I'll talk about that when we get there. And there's a photo of it. It was the best thing, and it's so touristy, and it's the least authentic thing that we did on the night, according to our guide. But I was so excited to go.
Yeah, well, the actual tour was €198, which is about $322 Australian.
That's for both of us.
That is for both of us.
But that does include enough food for dinner.
Yeah, they say it's 8 tastings with wine included. And our guide was the very, very, very enthusiastic and good-looking Lorenzo.
Oh, Lorenzo. I just remember him saying, please, people, and he's got his hands together, like almost praying to us, begging us, listen, people, listen. And you feel like you're being roused on, but he's so enthusiastic, and he's just trying to explain to you, why you should do this, and he was so passionate about Oltrarno area because he lives there, and that's where all the locals eat. And he said, don't go over to the other side of the river, it's the dark side, and he's doing the whole, Star Wars, Luke, I'm your father thing. And so he's basically saying, you eat over there, you're just having tourist food. This is where it's all happening. And the fact that he lived in the suburb as well, was makes you realise that it is what they do. Because what he explained was the aperitivo sort of.
Correct.
So it's not it's not tapas. You're not allowed to say tapas, and it's not chiquetas like it is in Venice.
No, yeah, so basically what it is the aperitif, because what he was explaining was that the Italian workers don't knock off it. They don't do a 9 to 5 day. They start earlier and they work later, and this is what they do. This is the habit or the culture that before they go home, they stop and they have an aperitivo.
Yeah.
And that aperitivo is a drink, or probably a glass of wine, or an
Aperol spritz,
and they have a little bit of food with it as well.
They do. So let's get into the tour. There was only 5 of us, and Lorenzo.
So there's 6 of us all up.
Yep.
There was an American couple, and we apologise, we can't remember the names. And Kim from South Korea. The first place we went to was called El Crudo Bistro in Santa Spirito. Basically, we got cheese, cold cuts, and bruschetta paired with bruschetta. So we got a lesson on how to say that.
Yeah.
With Chianti Classico. Now Lorenzo explained the difference between the cheeses, and with particular emphasis on the pecorino Toscano, which is the sheep's milk cheese, and it was beautiful. You can get that soft or you can get it hard, depending on how it is aged.
The favourite one I had there was one of the cheeses which had like a honey, sort of baked a little bit with honey on it. I think that was everyone's favourites. And we had a couple of glasses of wine there too. And what was really nice is, like, Lorenzo's so enthusiastic, and he obviously knows the people here, and we're just inside. There wasn't anyone else in the little bar. There's a few people outside, and we weren't rushed.
Yeah, well, it started about 5 or 5:30.
Yeah. And it's 3.5 hours. But we, so I'm sure, he wants to get home, and he's not drinking, obviously, he's working. It was just nice, and there was so much to choose from. You had this plate, and one had the bruschetta with the tomato, and then one had, like an olive tapenade or what on top, and then you've had the cheeses, and you get one glass of wine and another, and it was really nice way to start the tour, I thought. Yeah,
perfect.
And next did we go where my favourite?
Correct.
So this is why I booked this tour, right?
Which, when you hear about it, you're gonna think, why, Leanne? Why?
Because I don't know why. It just I saw these and I wanted to go there, and when I found a tour, I made sure that it included a visit to one of Florence's wine windows. Now, how cool is that? They're these little sort of doorways in the wall called a window. Doorway in a wall called a window, you goose. And it's a little wooden door. It's probably 12 inches, 30 centimeters high. Check out the photos; they're all there.
Big enough for a wine glass.
And you open the door, you knock, and you tell them what you want, and then you shut the door, and then they come back and they open the door and they hand you a glass of wine. It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
However, it is quite touristy, the spot we went, called Babet.
Yeah.
And that was because there is an American actor called Stanley Tucci, who's done a food show in Italy, which is actually screening again at the moment. And he went there, and a lot of people go there now. So it is actually just on the side of a restaurant, but there are others. Now, there were thousands of these wine windows around Florence centuries ago, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, they were created as far back as 1559.
Right, centuries, as I said.
Yeah, when Cosimo de' Medici, the ruler of Florence, allowed wealthy noble families to sell wine they produced out of their homes, avoiding paying taxes.
Yeah, so they didn't have shop fronts or anything. They just had these little windows.
And it was also they were good value during the plague.
Yes, and so you couldn't. They, as I said, thousands and thousands. Like something they said 50,000 of them or something. But now there's nowhere near that. A lot of them now have become mailboxes, or have become like mailboxes, but also the signs of who's in the building, that sort of thing. I think they said there's probably now only about 30 that are actually operating. So but it's a fun thing to do in Florence, is to go to a wine window.
Leanne was Leonita, was very, very excited that
Lorenzo was a little bit disappointed because he knows he's got to take people there, but he just feels it's not the authentic experience. But because we were with him and we all told him what we wanted beforehand, we skipped the line, much to people's disgust, and we got our wines and our photos, and it was exciting. I got a buzz out of it anyway, and you'll see that in the photos. All right, so left the wine window. We went off then to a little place where we had lots of the meats, wasn't it?
That's correct. Yeah. It was called.
Here we go.
Le Veneno de San Fregano.
That's you just should see his face. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why.
You've just done all your facial exercises.
I'm not sure. Leanne laughs whenever I try and say those names, but she,
anyway,
she thinks it's funny. But anyway, yeah. So look, I really enjoyed this place. It was, we got to taste some, prosciutto, And this is really,
Wild
really,
boar?
wild boar,
Yeah.
and we some
Lard.
savoury lard.
Yeah. That was funny because...
And salami, sorry. Yeah.
That was funny because, 1 minute Lorenzo's up talking to us and, we're all sipping our wine and eating it. And next minute he's down on the floor behind the table. And I'm like, what is he doing? And he's, once again, please, people, listen. And he's down there like showing us how the layers of lard are made, and he's like showing like he's going in this layer and this is on the ground, and he was just so animated, and it was actually really interesting, and the lard was really nice. I mean, it's not just like
surprising,
not just like a lump of fat, right?
No, they described it as, and they call it lardo.
Yeah.
Lardo taste is silky, savoury, and buttery, but with a distinct pork taste.
Well, do you remember we had lard at Tuscany, wrapped around the baked pear.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It was delicious.
Yeah. Look, you don't. Look, what Leanne's saying about Lorenzo is he's incredibly enthusiastic. I think he's a school teacher by trade. I think that's what he told us. But he's very emotional, and and that particular restaurant. Why did they close down after we left?
Well, he was packing up, while we were eating a bit, and Lorenzo's like, his hands are going. He's like, how come, mate? What's going on? And he said, we're not late, and the guy said, no. Firenze football's playing against West Ham tonight.
Yeah, so he was closing the restaurant to go and watch the football.
Yeah,
unbelievable. But he was a lovely bloke too.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that. So the next place we stopped was
Calinara.
Yeah, there we go. There's a face pulling again.
And we had the bistecca.
All right,
alla Florentina.
So what I was about to say was the big thing in Florence is the steak, the Firenze,
T-bone,
right? And so we didn't really get to choose. It was just that was what was brought out, but it was this beautiful, and I've got a photo of that in the website. And it's rare. It's served rare.
Yeah, it's normally served rare.
How you want it cooked. And we sat there with this beautiful glass of red wine.
Yeah, we had a Chianti Classico Reserva.
Yeah,
and the guy, the actual guy that owns the restaurant, he came out and he showed us the raw beef, the T-bone.
Yeah, they do that,
and they are huge.
They've got and these sort of places where they're trattorias, I think they're called. They have all their meat on display, don't they? In like glass fridges, and great big, marbled, pieces of steak.
Beef, yeah. Now they come from a particular cattle in Tuscany, and it is called the actual cattle breed is a Chianinina beef. Chianinina beef. Glenn, stop laughing at me.
Oh my goodness!
But anyway, it's a particular beef brand, and
so they cook it fast on a grill or a barbecue, and the outside's crispy, and then the inside's nice pink, and it is delicious.
Spectacular. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's not like in Australia where you actually get the whole T-bone. They actually slice it and then put it on the plate. And like superb, and with a great glass of red wine, you can't go past it.
There was plenty of food though. Like people was, like I think Kim couldn't get through some of hers in the previous place because she wanted to save room for the beef. Yeah.
Oh yeah, look, plenty of food. The tour itself, there was an enormous amount of food,
and wine was great.
Yeah,
right?
There was no shortage of wine. Yep, you're right.
And this place was sort of back further from all the other places that we went. We walked, maybe 10 minutes. Sort of back into the heart of a residential Oltrano, didn't we? You know, and this is what Lorenzo said. This is where the locals come. This plaza, and there were kids playing football, and there's a little playground, and there's families walking. It was so local and authentic. I love that about it. Wasn't it?
Well, that was one of the other things Lorenzo pointed out was that you're paying so much more across the other side of the river on that, as he called it, the dark side.
Yeah.
Well, we sort of, Lan and I sort of looked at each other and thought, well, part of the reason we're here is we do want to have a glass of wine. We don't care how much it costs to sit in the Piazza Duomo and that sort of thing.
It was nice though to go and get away from all that tourist area and just be in the local spot. You know, we did enjoy that. And then of course there's, you know, you're not eating out in Italy if you don't finish your meal with limoncello. We obviously got one of those, didn't we, at the end?
Yes, we did. Yeah, that was after the steak. Yeah.
And before we headed only a few doors down to the local gelato shop.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell us what that was called.
Do you want me to? No, I'm gonna. Because you put your shit on me, but that's all right. It's called the Gelateria Artigianale La Sorbetteria. She's taking videos of me saying it. But anyway, do you want me to say it again?
No, it's okay. I got it now.
Anyway, so Lorenzo was very, very passionate about the gelati and gelato, should I say.
And he says only buy gelato if they have it covered. Those shops where they don't have it under covers is not good gelato.
No.
But, you know, I don't know. I think he's maybe exaggerating because we've had some, not that we had a lot of gelato. Well, gelato we made.
That's right, but that was in a further.
That's another story.
That's another story
for another day. All right, let's move on. We've gone on and on about food and wine.
So anyway, we've finished the food tour, and on the way home, Leanne happens to love watching football.
I do.
And was West Ham your team?
It's my EPL, English Premier League team.
So we actually went back.
But it was hard to barrack for them against Firenze.
Oh, sure, but you did it. Anyway, we called into Cafe Duomo.
Yeah.
You guessed it, in the Piazza Duomo to watch West Ham and Firenze European Cup final. We had a very, very substantial, healthy-sized glass of wine, and they were for two was €16, and we watched the footy.
And it was good.
Yeah, very excited. There was people taking their shirts off and waving around, and they were getting right into it. So yeah, it was good.
After a day of walking and food and drinking and football, I decided that we should bring some culture back into our holiday. So up we get. Obviously, we had our coffee, and this day, we were heading to the Academia. Yes?
Yeah, the Galleria Academia.
Which is home of Michelangelo's David. That's what it's famous for, yeah?
Correct, yep.
And when you're going to Florence and you Google, you know, you sort of think, well, what do you want to see? You know, the Academia comes up time and time again, you know, as does the Uffizi Gallery, which we're talking about next. But this is one of the iconic things, statues, artworks that people come to Florence to see.
Yes, and we had another very, very enthusiastic, good-looking Italian guide, and his name was Francesco.
Yeah,
and he was a really good guide too.
They're just so cool, you know. He's got his jeans on and his little loafer shoes and his t-shirt with the V-neck and just low enough to be not over. Oh, sorry, am I going on a bit?
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking we went to see the statue of David, not the statue of Francesco. But anyway, look, Leanne had bought the Skip the Line tickets again. You can buy tickets at the door. They are €12.
But you have to line up in quite a long line to get the tickets.
And they are, and they can be sold out.
Yes.
You can buy tickets, online tickets, which are bought online, and they're €12 plus €4 for the
booking fee.
Booking fee, so €16. An adult ticket, which includes reservation to skip the line, are €20. So it's 12 or 16 if you book it online, or 20 with a skip the line.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people line up because they want to get the cheapest option, but the line goes round the corner,
Yeah, and they also say that if you plan to buy your ticket at the door, you must enter that gallery before the ticket office closes at 6:20. Be aware that the tickets can sell out, which I think we said before.
Yeah, we did. But I I can't remember what we paid for this tour, but the value of a guide is worth every cent, because you could just walk in there and look at these statues and look at the artwork, as we said earlier, and think, oh yeah, that's impressive, but not know anything about it. But like, I really enjoyed the audio information that Francesco gave us. Yeah.
Yeah, look, the gallery houses the original David by Michelangelo since 1873. Before that, the statue was in front of the Palazzo Vecchio, but because of the weather, it started to damage as they moved it. It also includes these 4 unfinished prisoners intended for the tomb of Pope Julius II and a statue of St. Matthew.
Right, and they're in the little hallway or walkway on either side as you're going up to see David, are these statues. So you're sort of walking up, and there's these Michelangelo statues all the way along, and with David right, under the spotlight, under the dome in the middle, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And then there's also paintings from the 13th and 16th centuries, including works by Ocello and Ghirlandaio and Sandro Botticelli. There's a full-size plaster model from the Rape of Sabini, women by Guillaume hang on, I'm going to do this. Guillaume Bolognese. Now that's the actual statue itself is in the Plaza Signora.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
can we? Sorry, go on.
Well, just to finish off what's there, in 2001, they opened another section, and the collection includes musical instruments made by Stradivarius, Amati, and Cristofori, and he invented the piano.
Yeah. So there's that whole collection to look at as well. But so it's only small. Like it's not a big gallery by any means, and like, I don't really know what I was expecting. Like, I mean, obviously I've seen pictures of David, but I was mesmerized by it.
You were?
Yeah, just sort of a wow. And it's, when you think about, he was only 26 when he did it, I think, and the skin looks like soft, so you could touch it, and but it's marble, and it's just an outstanding thing. I'm so glad I've actually seen it. And that's just a weird thing for me to say.
Yeah, look, it's
yes.
Look, some interesting facts about old Michelangelo.
Yes.
Yeah, he basically, back in the day, he was an equivalent of today's, the biggest rock star you could have. That's what Michelangelo was. He was famous. Unlike his contemporaries, he only painted what he wanted to paint.
And he actually preferred to do sculptures.
Yeah, he didn't think of himself as a painter.
No.
Yeah, so he never married.
Yeah.
He had male and female lovers. He was a tight ass, so he died a very wealthy man, and he lived till he was 88.
But he lived like a pauper.
Yeah, and he was a very, very disagreeable person, apparently.
And apparently his nephew inherited all the money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the other thing was the statue is 5.17 meters. This is the statue of David, and it's 17 feet.
Okay.
It symbolizes independence and strength in the perfect image of youthful beauty.
So it was actually.
So I read that somewhere.
Yeah. If you look at the statue, you'll see his hands bigger, and something else that looks out of proportion. When it's pointed out, you don't notice it until someone points it out. And the reason it's like that is because it was actually made to sit on top of the Duomo, and that was so when you were looking from the ground up, it would be atomically, correct. Correct.
Yes, I think. Yes, I think that's what Francesco said.
Yeah, and I believe every word he said.
Yeah, well, you would. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
So I would certainly recommend going to the Academia. It doesn't take too long. If you because the tickets, they skip the line, but they're actually timed. So you line up at 2:00, and that group of people get in. So it's always not overcrowded. So many in, so many out. They run that pretty efficiently. So, but go with a guide, because you find out all about all this stuff, and he might just be good looking like Francesco. See or not?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the next guide.
Oh yeah, we'll wait. We've got a story to tell about that, haven't we? Yes, we do. Before we talk about the next place we went, the Uffizi Gallery, one of the things I'd sort of recommend, I booked the Academia and the Uffizi Palace together as a tour together, but now that I know that that's probably not the best thing to do. I don't quite know why they do it that way, because the Academia is where David is probably 20 to 30 minutes walk from, maybe not that far, 20 minutes walk to the Uffizi gallery, right?
Yep.
And we sort of rushed through the last bit of the Academia so we could, meet up with the tour and
for the Uffizi Gallery.
That's right. And so it would have been better if we'd just done the Academia and then booked a separate tour for the Uffizi. Now, as you sort of mentioned before, Raphael was our guide in this one. He wasn't as enthusiastic, and he actually got a bit cross, and because there were so many people and people standing in the road and that sort of thing. However, his information was very on point,
Yep.
And the thing about going to the Uffizi Gallery with him is he took us to the most important parts, because it's quite big, but it also has a pretty interesting history. Yeah,
it's huge. Look, it was established in 1581. One of the most important Italian museums and the most visited. It is also one of the largest and best known in the world, and holds a collection of priceless works, particularly from the period of the Italian Renaissance. After the ruling house of Medici died out, their art collections were given to the city of Florence under the famous Patto di Famiglia, negotiated by Anna Maria Luisa, the last of the Medici heiresses. The building of the Uffizi complex was begun by Giorgio Vasari in 1560 for Cosimo I de' Medici as a means of consolidating his administrative control over the various committees and agencies. So basically, Uffizi in Italian
offices.
Means offices.
So it was the offices of the ruling family of the Medici, and it's right next door to the Palazzo Vecchio, which is the palace that they lived in, right?
Correct.
And so then the artworks have been given to the city from Anna Maria, and so they're now housed in this 3-story gallery.
Yeah. Look, it opens from 8:15 to 6:30. It's closed Monday. The standard ticket is $12 plus $4 for the online booking. There you can get audio guides at the entrance. They're €6. Now, just one thing: if the official website tickets sell out, check out other websites before giving up.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, it's the actual outside of the Uffizi is really, really impressive.
Well, it's like a U shape. There's a courtyard, right?
Yeah.
So the Uffizi courtyard, and when we were there, there's people doing paintings, like artists with all their paint work out. There's some street performers there as well, that you could pose with and have your photos taken with, that sort of thing. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and along lining the perimeter of actually the courtyard, there's 28 statues
of all the famous guys.
All the famous, what they say, the Italian geniuses. And that goes from, Da Vinci to Dante to Gotti. You've got Michelangelo, Galileo.
So they're all around, these statues.
Yeah, and the statues, I actually walked along and had a look at each statue.
They're all named, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all named. And Machiavelli, just names you've heard of. And it's like super impressive.
That's free. Walking through that courtyard, because that's right on the river, where the Ponte Vecchio is. You can walk all the way through this courtyard and look at those statues, and it leads. It's basically between the river and the Piazza della Signoria, right?
Yeah.
So so that's pretty impressive. But then you go inside.
Yeah, look, there's it's spread over 3 floors with 45 halls. Look, you could go and we can't tell you everything. We can't, and it's probably impossible to actually explain how beautiful it is.
Well,
but
the thing that struck me was it's like, once again, it's that U shape, isn't it? So as I said, but you're indoors, and so all the way along the window side is this sort of wide hallway which is open, and so it's got all this light coming in, and it's got the original wooden decorated ceilings and the wall, and there's statues all the way along as well, and the marble floor, the decorated floor. If that's all you saw, and I've got a picture of this. Go and have a look. This is episode 63. I just had to check, remember which one we're up to. Go and have a look on the website, because you'll be blown away, but just how impressive that was. But our guide, he was determined to take us to some of the rooms, because I don't know how many rooms there are.
There's 45 halls.
Yep.
And look, the most famous paintings, they say, is the Birth of Venus, which was painted in 1484, and the Spring, which was painted in 1482. They're masterpieces of the Sandro Botticelli.
Yeah.
Now, Botticelli. Yeah. And now
I've got photos of those as well.
Yeah. So, I had a look at the Birth of Venus.
I know you weren't impressed, but I was, and it's one of the most famous paintings there. That's why a lot of people go there. It's I actually really enjoyed that.
Well, my favourite,
was Medusa.
And that's room 90 is dedicated to Caravaggio, and he was born in 1571 and died in 1610, and he is considered the founder of modern art. We've seen
we're going to talk about that in the next podcast. That
a bit more
Caravaggio, and also in Rome. So
the two main
we saw Raphael's
paintings.
Yes.
Was the Medusa,
which we said,
which is the lady with the snakes, the venomous snakes as her hair.
But it's a self-portrait.
They say that he painted that as a self-portrait. And the other famous one there is Bacchus. Now, maybe this is why I do like him more than the others, is because that particular one is the god of wine.
Oh, the god of wine. That's it.
Yeah, so,
but some of the paintings that the guide told us about, there's a man there with, he was a king, I can't remember his name, and it's a side portrait of him, and he's got his wife, and the whole story about the guy, because he's got like a lump in his sort of off his nose, and he was shot, and had some of his nose cut out, and she looks really pale, and it's because she died in childbirth, and they painted it afterwards, so it was a living memory for him. And there's it's just some of the stories he told us. And then there's the painting that's not finished by Leonardo, was it?
Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci. His room is number 35.
Yeah.
Now the most famous paintings there are the Annunciation. The subject is the classic Annunciation of the angel to the Virgin. You've got the Adoration of Maggie. Now that's with baby Jesus was born. Now that one's actually was unfinished. You've got the Baptism of Christ. That was a collaboration with the master Verrocchio, who stopped painting when he felt that Leonardo had surpassed his skill. Now the interesting fact about Da Vinci was able to write, draw, and paint with both hands, and could write with one hand and draw with the other hand at the same time.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's like tapping your head and rubbing your tummy at the same time. Can you do that like this? Yeah.
No, well, probably not. But now the most impressive room is the Tribuna,
which is a tribute to
of the Uffizi, is an octagonal room built in 1584. The most important antiquities and high Renaissance art paintings from the Medici collection are there, and
you can't actually go in this room, but there's like 3 or 4 big doorways, and our guide got us right up in front, and there's like it's a dome ceiling, and the dome's decorated with these sort of jeweled balls. And then there's like furniture in the room, which is, made out of timber, which in themselves are artworks.
Yeah, but what about that table?
And the table. Sorry, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, table in the middle. I got it. I got this. The table in the middle. Once again, I've got a video of that, which is in our Instagram Beach Travel Wine in the Florence stories. You can't miss it. And, the photos are on the website as well. And the other thing with the Uffizi Gallery, we could have stayed. We went to the main rooms and we walked around the corridors, and I found somewhere to sit, and it was quite a long tour. Just sitting and looking at the beautiful timber in the building and that sort of thing. You can look down into the courtyard as well, and there is the space right at the end where you've got the best view of the Ponte Vecchio, and there's photos of that as well, obviously, but just a really nice view back down the river that unobstructed. So I was blown away by the Uffizi Gallery once again.
Yeah, I think both Lan and I, and we talked about it later, we found after visiting them, we had a much more appreciative attitude to the Renaissance art and artists.
The Uffizi Gallery houses all these masters, all these artworks from all these masters. Like, I don't know if there's anything else like that, like I know the Louvre's got the Mona Lisa, and, the Sophia one in Madrid has the, El Guernico, and, they've all got their one or two. This has literally hundreds.
Well, they have all four
of the big guys.
Of the ninjas.
Yeah, the Ninja Turtles, they do.
They do. They have Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Leonardo da Vinci.
They do. Yeah. All right, let's wrap up. We've done our food and our wine and our walking and our gardens, and now the art. It's been a pretty big.
Yeah, it's been a big couple of days.
It has. So much history and art in Florence. You can't help but be blown away, as I said. So before we finish off, if you think this was impressive, I tell you what, next episode, it's actually don't say what it is. It's my favourite place in Florence. So, we've raved about all these. The next place, you're going to have your, mind blown by.
Can I rave about a particular restaurant we went to that night?
Yes, because quickly, yes, before we finish off.
Look, yeah, we had a huge day, so we didn't really want to go too far. So there was a restaurant just around the corner from our apartment. It's on Via della Scala, and I'm intentionally putting the address in because it was that good. It was the La Grotta di Leo. La Grotta di Leo.
So the home or the cave of the lion, right?
Okay, and I had the veal scallopini with lemon sauce. It was €8. It was cheap.
The best value in Florence.
I reckon, seriously, it was superb. I had a mixed salad with it, and I think that was €4. And I think we had the wine was cheap. Everything was so cheap. We couldn't believe it.
It was so close to home.
And it was so close to home. So, yeah, I give it the 5-star best value in Florence.
There we go. All right, let's finish up. I'm going to go first. Favourite place to have a glass of wine, because I don't want you to steal mine, because I get excited every time I think about this, was at the wine window, of course. I don't even remember how good the wine was, but that was
the wine was pretty damn average, and it was about the size of a thimble.
Anyway, I enjoyed it. I got the photo to prove it, mate. So anyway, what have you got?
Well, I'd say the glass of red that we had with the T-bone steak.
Okay,
that was
nice.
Beautiful, and it was
the Chianti Classico, eh?
Reserva.
You can't go past that.
Yeah. That was really good. So that.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about Florence, go back to the previous episode, and don't forget to listen to our next one. Yes, Lyle? What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's a bit of a call out.
We'll do that next time.
Okay.
Yes, is that okay? Telling me what to do. I'm the producer of this here show, mate.
I'm the talent.
So thank you for listening, and it's ciao from me.
And ciao from me.